Hello, everyone, and welcome to Authenticity. I'm Anna Toothman, and my beautiful, lovely guest today is Nicole Menchaca. Is it Menchaca or Menchetta? Am I
Yep,
saying it right?
Menchaca. Menchaca.
Menchaca,
Yeah. hmm
an integration specialist. The reason why I felt called to do a show, I don't do lives very often. They're not on scheduled every week. They're more in a balanced way when I'm called to share. And in my community, Nicole, there's a lot of folks right now that are trying different modalities. You and I spoke briefly about that, using plant medicine, like ayahuasca and mushrooms and microdosing and just other ways. But it does show me that they're opening up to wanting to start their inner process, knowing and understanding that they're powerful and that there is more to their reality than perhaps they were aware of, right? And so I thought, gosh, what I'm observing though is that they're not taking the time to spend what they just went through, what they experienced, right? It opened up their mind to this. I have not done plant medicine, but I have friends who have. And so I have an idea what they've experienced because I've experienced similar, but I've done it on my own organically without the assistance of plant medicine. And so I felt like the call, Nicole, to have this conversation. And because you're a specialist, I wanted you to speak to the audience what that looked like for you. Like when a client comes to Nicole and they're like, what is your process for them? What is integration? If we want to start there, I guess, what does integration mean?
Well, I think that integration is a process that people do already that we're just not recognizing. It's a part of our daily, it's just part of what we do, right? We learn as we grow, we expand, and we shift levels of consciousness. We expand in our consciousness as we have since birth. If we weren't consciousness expanding beings, we would still be in an infant state of mind, right? We wouldn't have been able to grow through things. So I think I had a conversation yesterday, actually. And it's important to remember what the basis of all this work is for, number one. So most people come into the plant medicine or the spiritual work because they want to be enlightened,
Yeah.
right? They want to ascend from these lower timelines and break free from the prison. But many people don't really recognize that that prison is within themselves, and
Mm-hmm.
it's their mind, right? So the mind is the prison. So when we start on this path, we begin to plug in little things that we learn, little patterns that we see, and like, oh, okay, this kind of makes sense. So, what the next step would be is I'm ready for that expansion. Like, I want to connect with my higher self, I want to connect with my highest timeline while wanting to connect with these higher aspects of self, which are available. Like you can connect in, you can do a hero's dose of the old medicinal plant and it'll shoot you right out into the unknown, right? Which is the level that we're trying to reach. And it will show you beautiful, warm, loving, amazing things. And then it will shoot you back down here where you started, which is out of alignment because you go from a really high place back here, back where we were. So for me, integration is not stepping ahead to that forward process. Of course, we want enlightenment. Yes. We also want to learn how to ride a bike. We want to learn how to read and write. But there are steps to learning how to make the shapes and how to hold the balance and how to control what's coming into your field so that you can align it in a way that it makes sense. So we're building structures with our minds, right? So if I go in and I want to build a home, would I want someone to build the house who learned how to build the house through a visual experience? Or would I want someone who actually put hands on wood and nails, and they know which hammer, they know which drill, they know how to put things together at angles so that the thing holds together? Whereas the other person's like, well, in my mind, kind of looks like this, right? So when we go off on the mushrooms, we're going off into the mind. So we're leaving the experience, we're leaving the processing experience to kind of see what the answer is on the other side. It's always going to be, the end answer is always the same. It's source love. That's
Mm-hmm.
always the answer, because that's the end result. Now, when I started this path, I didn't feel like source love. Why? I was medically labeled. I was clinically labeled. I was highly medicated, meaning I took a lot of pharmaceuticals to go from a place like that, where I was consistently looking outside of myself. I don't feel good. What can I take? I don't feel good. God, please help me. I don't feel good. Jesus, take the wheel. I don't feel good. I got to call my therapist. It was always something outside, right? I don't feel good. Plant medicine time. That's how a lot of the community works, because we're looking the way we've been taught to look, right? Oh, you have a fever. Let's get you something outside of yourself. Oh, you have this, right? So we're treating visually and not internally. We're not looking within at the root of the issue. So let's say, for example, you have a hard time with processing grief. Grief is a shadow, loss, trauma. We've all lost someone at some point in our lives. Yes? We can all agree that the loss of that connection in our life leaves a very big, open, closed wound. It's
Mm-hmm.
big, it's a gaping hole, but it's closed because we don't let energy in or out. It kind of leaks a traumatic event, but we don't really fully process it. So, in order to really fully process grief for me, and this is only my experience, I can only speak from my own experience and share that there may be another way other than the way some people struggle through, which I also struggle. I'm a human and I have emotions, right? Like everyone. So, grief is a shadow. It is a shadow within. The reason why it is a shadow within is because if we don't heal the shadow, if we don't recognize and identify where it came
Mm-hmm.
from, and then integrate back into what we are, then that trauma will create a loop. And every year we will experience maybe the same, maybe worse pain. There will be trigger moments, anniversaries, songs,
Birthdays.
colors, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just things that come into our field that instantly bring us back to that moment of loss. In any moment of loss, we're in a moment of abandonment. So we feel alone. In my experience, through doing the integration work around death and around what happens after death, I was able to bring a certain recognition that energy, which is what I am, doesn't die,
Mm-hmm.
only changing form.
Sure.
Now that leaves for an unlimited, what could happen? What are the possibilities? Now, how does that affect me here on this plane? Because on this plane, this body is temporary. This is a manifest physical experience that I'm having that I won't carry in my energetic signature once I leave this realm. Unless there's a great big shift that happens and we just walk these bodies right across the Crystal River Bridge. So, in the process of carrying inside the body what I'm experiencing around me, which is the grief, I have to go within myself and I have to become one with what I'm experiencing. So, a lot of times when we get emotional or we get angry, upset, anything that is not of our natural state of being, we automatically pass a judgment onto ourselves.
Sure.
It's just a natural way that humans are. Like, oh, I shouldn't be crying. I shouldn't be feeling this way. I shouldn't feel a negative feeling because I'm just so blessed. I'm just so blessed, right? I've got so many things to be grateful for. Now, listen, when I think about my friend over here, now she's really struggling. Now,
Mhm.
that's somebody who has a right to struggle.
Mhm.
Look how good I'm doing. But we forget that the life that we build and the way that it looks out here is not an accurate reflection of the feeling within the body, right? So I could be sitting at the dinner table with a smile on my face, eating with my friends, and inside I'm dying. So those two reflections are not in alignment. So what I would do in that moment when I'm sitting with the smile on my face, I would ask myself, because I'm telling myself stories, right? The whole time. Like, oh, I don't want to be here. Why do I have to put on this fake smile? My heart is broken, right? I don't want a fake smile. I
Mm.
want to feel what I'm feeling, which at this time is grief. I feel grief. So now it's time for me to integrate what I've seen, and now I've recognized it. Oh, I see this. This is grief. I'm feeling this grief because I just feel abandoned. And it doesn't have to be because of an event. It doesn't have to be because of grief. It doesn't have to be because of anything. I could just wake up this morning and feel alone. Like, am I alone? Is there anybody here for me? That's abandonment. I feel abandoned. Okay. So I'm at the table and I'm with my friends. What people don't normally do is this part of the process. This is the integration process. Okay. Hey, Anna, I'm here with you today. And I love that you guys are here. Like, I appreciate you with my whole heart. But I might be a little emotional through our chat today because I received some heavy news as soon as we got on the call. And
Correct.
so that could affect me in a way that I might not be 100% today. So if you could allow me to be clunky and
Yeah,
emotional and support me if you see me falling, that would be great. Right?
absolutely.
Now I have to recognize that I need help.
Yeah.
I have to recognize that I may not be on my A game. And that's perfect. It's not wrong to feel grief.
I'm going to interject for a minute because grief can be a powerful. Grief comes in many forms and not just in death. It just could be just lost
Yes.
friendships, marriage,
Abandonment. Yes.
yeah, just all kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
One of the organic ways that integration occurs within us when we bring harmony
Mm-hmm.
to our emotions into our
Mm-hmm.
lives
Mm-hmm.
is, for me, was crying.
Oh, and that's what I'm saying. It's okay to feel grief, and feeling grief looks like expressing emotionally, right? Sometimes you
Deep,
may be
deep, deep
angry,
grief. Yeah. A
right?
lot of the process through our healing and self-worth and our growth and the way that we alchemize and integrate our emotions
Uh-huh. And
is
so,
through
oh,
that,
go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
through crying,
Uh-huh.
allowing that, feeling that what arises in the moment when we're
Yes.
every single person watching or going to watch the replay
Mm-hmm.
We have had moments where we have cried, maybe in silence, maybe by ourselves, or maybe to someone else that was listening on the other end of the phone or in person, where we
Yes.
just released this emotion that,
Which is what I'm telling you. I'd
yeah, yeah,
like to start the session today by saying, I'm feeling a bit emotional. I'm
yeah.
feeling a bit of grief. So I may need extra support, which is the step that a lot of people miss. They
Mhm.
miss the part where they may need extra support, right? I may need to feel really sad, or it may just hit me out of nowhere while we're in this live video,
Right.
because I'm feeling emotional
Because
because of
you,
the message that I got before this started.
right.
And the important thing about feeling emotional is not to say, oh, you know what, I'll just do this anyway. It's not that important. I'll just talk to them when I'm done. It's important to say, this is for integration. Like, the whole purpose of this whole call today was so that I could touch on how to integrate things, right?
Hmm.
So would I be integrating if I just said, oh, I'll deal with that when I get off the call? No, that's bypassing, right? I stayed on the call in real time, opened my opened my heart to you and said, hey, this could be a little weird because
Thank
I
you.
don't really know what might happen. My family's far from me. I just lost a very, very dear family member in December, whom I've not been able, I didn't go to the funeral, so far away. My car, had oil leaks, like everyone else, like all the things, right? All the things telling me, oh, you're not worthy. If you loved them, you'd be there. What a terrible, niche you are. What kind of person doesn't go? And all the stories, I've got them all. And they're all playing out in my field over and over, trying to slap me around and make me feel not worthy. So, what do I do right now? Right now, when I'm like, oh my gosh, another funeral so far away. How do I get there? What do I do? How do I integrate this?
What
I
tool,
say,
what
I
tools do
say,
you have available to you right now?
I have this available.
Hmm.
So what I would do right now to integrate this is I would put my hands on my chest and remember where I am. I would remember that I'm safe. I would remember that everything in my life is divinely aligned because of the work and the life that I live. The work that I do within and the life that I live is nothing but trust. I trust that this experience will bring something to me that I didn't see before,
Yeah.
right? I may have to see it through pain or through tears in my eyes or through rewatching this video after we post it on YouTube
Yeah.
later, right? But it will bring me a beautiful gift. I'm going to allow myself, without judging myself, to feel whatever comes in. However, I won't identify with my emotions. I will identify the emotion, but I will not claim it as me because I already know who and what I am, and I am love, right? So anything that comes into my field is coming home to love, to be with me in love. So the grief that's coming in to bring me this beautiful gift, it's bringing me back to love. And I will experience love through this.
Absolutely.
So taking a deep breath in, bringing my awareness back to this moment, maybe use a little light language, move some things. Do I want to say something here? Am I feeling something? Am I clear? Does my tummy feel weird? I'm just going to move some energy around. I'll hydrate. I'll talk to my water and I'll say, I love you. You are strong. You are well and you are loved. And then I drink myself and I say, It's okay. It's okay if you're not what you think you need to be today.
Absolutely. I mean, that's why my show is called Authenticity. When we're integrating, we need allowing, right? We have
Yeah.
to allow ourselves that time. And sometimes it takes, it doesn't have, the process isn't overnight. Some of us may take years to integrate something that we've been through. And sometimes it's 3 days, 3 months, but acknowledging it is so important to do the soul connection to, okay, what is it? Once you identify the core emotional pain or thought, why I'm recognizing this, then go to the root of it.
Mhm.
Where was the first time I felt this way? And abandonment is a big one. Abandonment is a big one for humanity. They feel abandonment from God, separated from source. And that is what we're integrating as a collective and moving forward in raising our vibration enough and doing this clearing of the trauma and to bring this harmonizing emotion into our beingness so that we're able to float above and not drown in this grief, perhaps that is showing up in your life, that you have the tools now to integrate quicker and realize that they're not gone, that their soul contract is over in this realm now.
I think that you touched on that perfectly. And it's also important because you and I use like terminology like, what tools are you using?
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really name any tools, right? I didn't really give you any like physical, personal things that I'm holding. Of course, I have crystals, I have sage, I have all the fun things too. But in the thick of the moment, recognizing that you are not alone. And the way that you recognize that you are not alone is through yourself. Put your hand on your heart. If I put my hand on my heart, I can feel a contact connection. And if I close my eyes and take a deep breath in, that is straight life force energy running through my body, reminding me again that I'm alive and I'm connected, right? If I'm breathing and I'm feeling, that I'm connected to something. So if I'm connected to something and that something is myself, why wouldn't I stop here and show up for myself? 30 plus years of my life, I looked outside of myself. Doctors, psychiatrists, therapists, everyone. I went everywhere. I tried everything. It wasn't until I stopped and gave myself. I had to go within, had to find that little girl who you're talking about. When did I feel this feeling the first time?
Mm-hmm.
When did I feel abandoned the very first time? I had to go find her. And guess what? I worked through that and I went through and I was like, yeah, I healed that inner child wound. And then bam, it hit me again after I integrated, right? And I say, whoa, hold on. I've already integrated this. Like, I don't know what this is. It's a reminder and it's a choice point because we are in a free will polarity, right? We have free will of choice. So when that reality, boom, hits you again, your choice is now to stand on the place that you are where you integrated, or you can go back down here before you integrated, right? I'm going to go all the way back down if this is just going to keep happening. Or you can say, you know what? Last time this happened, I responded this way. This time, I'm going to choose to do something a little different. And it doesn't even have to be a big deal. That's what I tell my clients. When you find yourself in that moment and you feel the repetition coming back into your life, the thoughts, the feelings, the burn up the spine, the feeling in your chest that feels like you're going to explode or implode, take your breath. Take your breath and bring yourself back. When you bring yourself back, you I lost my connection of thought, but you
Well, it's really important what we're talking about, integration. Like if I was speaking to my clients and my family or my friends, or someone who perhaps is just having a general conversation and they're in pain or they can't find forgiveness, let's say. So they
mhm,
felt like someone betrayed them and they just could never forgive them for what they have done. May it be a parent or a friend or a sister or a sibling, however this pain is coming from, that you're seeking outside therapy or a way to integrate your emotions by this
so
process of communication, identifying.
mhm,
People don't realize if you hang on to this anger and you don't forgive, that you keep these cords, these attachments. There's frequency that connects you to this situation.
mhm, mhm.
So it's not we're not asking you to go hang out with them. We're
Well,
not
a lot of
asking you
people
to
think
do these
that
things.
forgiveness means approval,
Right.
right? I forgive you, so I approve of your behavior. The true meaning behind forgiveness, like you said, not about the other person at all.
It's not.
Because the anger that we carry within, that we live with on a daily basis, right? I wake
Mhm.
up every day, I have the same anger in my heart for the same person, for the thing they did how many years ago or however long, yesterday, whatever, it doesn't matter. The person that you are holding that against
Mhm.
is living their best life.
Yeah.
They have no clue of the emotions that you have, the judgments, the anger, none of the things, and they owe you something that they don't have an idea that they owe you, which is an apology, right? And you don't want to forgive because they're not worth it because of how they behaved, which could be validated by a lot of people, right? Yeah, that was a really shitty thing for them to do. It was. But now moving forward, it would be even worse if you let that action control your love light. Like if their action that everybody thinks was not that great is now controlling you,
Mhm.
then you're being used as loose energy
Yeah.
and you're being pulled down from your frequency into another state of being, which will keep your mind repeating in that consciousness loop of, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough, because those pulls take away what we already know within ourselves. I am good enough.
Mhm. I just don't. That's why we do shows like this, is to inform people that vibration and frequency is a real thing. And
A
now we have
100%.
technology that people can just get their answers from AI or Google or, using their smart, intelligent equipment. You can Google something and it'll tell you that frequency and vibration is a real thing. And so
Mm-hmm.
by holding on to this resentment and emotions,
You're choosing that,
you're
and you're
choosing to stay
opening
tied to
yourself
that.
to attract more of what
Uh-huh.
you're holding within as well.
So I say, do the work, do the inner work, journal,
Mm-hmm.
digest,
Mm-hmm.
take the time to do the gestation of what is it that is so upsetting? Why am I so hurt? Why am I stuck? And when you get to that place, write about it, read it, see what, okay, these are where the aha moments come from. Because a lot of people don't know what their core wounds are. They don't remember their childhood, for instance, or perhaps they only remember the pain.
I would say 99.9% of the people that I share with and work with suffer from abandonment issues.
Mhm. I would have to agree. Abandonment is a big one. I tell people all the time. You hear people say things like, "Oh, she's got daddy issues. That's why she does that," or she does this for a living because she obviously has daddy issues. I want to say it's no joke. That's a real thing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Daddy issues have to do with abandonment. You
Oh,
can
yeah.
just replace that to abandonment. We have, what's the word? People who are in relationships that are so connected and codependent is
And
because
trauma bonded.
and trauma bonded because of these abandonment issues. We don't realize as we become adults, because we at a young age started using outside substances to cope
Let
for
me find
coping
something
mechanisms.
outside myself to help me with this, this, this,
Yes.
this.
There ended your way to grow your coping mechanism, to be able to grow and evolve the way that you nurture yourself. We reached for that substance, may it be
Yes.
alcohol, drugs, plant medicine, um, someone we trusted in someone else who was in the same position as we were and trusted
Hmm.
what they said was the right thing.
And also
Mhm.
knowing too, like for a lot of the things that I experienced personally, remember I mentioned at the beginning, I had some diagnosis, right? Some things going on mentally that they
Mm.
would, love to share medications with me for. So, what do I mean by integrating? I decided to stop taking all medications a little over a decade ago. So I almost died. I went to the hospital twice. They red flagged all of my charts. So I'm a risk, like a risk because I don't follow orders from the doctor, right? And I went through a very, very dark time. I couldn't figure out how to think. My mind was always foggy. Every time something happened to me, an ailment, I would feel like, okay, I'm going to have to go back to the doctor, and they're going to do what they always do, which is give me medication. I'm going to get all the side effects. I'm going to be really sick. So, an important part of my journey was looking at the way my body was responding, right? How is my body responding to the fact that I'm not taking my meds anymore? I'm shaky all the time. I have brain fog. I can't think clearly. Deep dive. What do I do to support this integration? What are we integrating? The new person that we are without the medication, right? We made a choice to stop doing that. So now we have to integrate. That doesn't mean I made a choice and tomorrow I'm going to be good to go because I don't take medication. That means I've got to detox. I've got to support myself. I've got to support my organs. I've got to support my mental health. I've got to make sure that my family is supported as well, right? And so, one of the best things that I did for myself was join this group called Fiercely Empowered Mamas. And it's run by Dr. Tanya Holcomb, and she's a naturopath who has a large group of women and like us, and we just go in, talk about all the natural things. Most of us are mamas who are looking to detox our kids from vaccine injury, right? And so when I joined that group, I started to learn more things about my inner support. I started to learn about cell salts. I started to learn about flower essences. I started to learn about homeopathics, natural things that I could put in my body to see results in real time, right? Without any side effects, no chemicals. So I threw out all the prescriptions, all the Tylenol, all the Alka Seltzer, vitamin C tablets, everything. Immune C gone. We replaced with elderberry, colloidal silver, cell salts, DE, all the things, right? And we replaced all that. And can I tell you that since I have started that integration process, I haven't been to the doctor once, and
Mm.
neither have my children or my husband. And I have 4 children, one brand new baby grand, and
Oh, congratulations.
no no treatments, no ibuprofen. We do cell salts or mineralizing for headaches and other acute symptoms, and it's mind clarity, right? Black seed oil brings physical energy, mind clarity. It helps heart health, and we go in and start supporting ourselves like this from the inside. And those things that we thought were mental they're not really mental. It's because we are so depleted of minerals, and because of that we can't properly hydrate or recognize vitamins,
Mhm.
that it just makes us run on like a crazy train all the time. And not only us, but also our children, right? Because of the food colorings and the dyes and the sugars and all the things that we all know are out there that affect our mood, mental health, and processes, like how we process what we're bringing in. So I wanted to touch on the physical aspect being an important part of the mental clarity process as well.
And I really appreciate you bringing that. And when someone is ready to take that next level step, and I want to recognize that you have a support system in place, and that
Mm-hmm.
you have spoken to your doctor, and that you do things consciously.
Oh, yes. I'm not recommending anyone
Yes,
stop medications. I
yes,
did almost die.
yes.
It was a
I want
very
to be clear
serious
with that.
event.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
I want to be very clear that that's not what we're suggesting here.
not at all. I'm only suggesting bringing a clarity of your own energetic signature. That is all, which is a different process for everyone. Like I said from the beginning as well, I can only speak from my own experience. So I do not recommend that anyone cold turkey any mental medications. That is not what the live is about.
Yeah,
Like
I
Anna
mean,
said, we're just
it
sharing
happens
integration
organically.
process. Yeah.
It will happen organically as you start doing these deep dives and connecting the dots and doing the process of integration and allowing the time to identify, to journal, to embody, to release, to make peace with it, to have acceptance about your journey, and realize that you can have a healthier life, self sustained, connected to source, have self worth, free of medications, free of plant medicine. But this is a journey. And
A
that's where
very long journey.
a very long journey. And that's where Nicole and myself, as practitioners, and what we do as what I do offer as a life coach in my mentorships, and you as a integration specialist, we're highlighting that it is possible that her and I were able to do these things. I also don't do any medicine and haven't for many, many years, outside substances. And I prefer my natural state now over any substance at all. Um, and so it is possible to have someone go through a life changing event and experience grief, but not at a tremendous where you need to go and binge and lose it and have like the way that we used to cope. Now we can cope in a more integrated, calm, meditative way.
And may I also offer that had I had someone to walk with me, I would definitely have probably done things a lot different. So I don't guide my clients to take the same path that I took.
Sure.
And it's important to know that it's not a one and done. So you're not going to schedule an appointment with someone, go in, have a 30-minute session, and walk out fully integrated and feeling like your best self. The first few sessions, you may actually feel more emotional, which is why the integration process and having someone with you is so important, right? It's very important if you're going to deep dive into these processes to reach out to someone who knows the steps to take so that when you get in that space of overwhelm, and we all do, like it doesn't,
Mhm.
nobody doesn't, we all experience it, even still sometimes utilizing the tools, to bring ourselves back. So recognizing that when you start this process, if you have someone that you trust, I highly recommend a guide, a way shower, a coach. I'm also a life coach. Anna's a life coach. And there's a lot of communities, right, who also offer people who do these types of works. Make sure that when you're working with someone, like I said, you're working with someone who's actually built the house, and not someone who read it in a book, because you will find invaluable tools with someone who has walked through the fire. And that's just because they know all the things, right? They walked through, they pulled themselves out, and not that they're better, they just did it before, because
Well, we have
everybody does
a
in their own
natural
season.
innate to have empathy.
Yes,
We have,
because we see ourselves, right?
right, we've been there, done
Yes.
that. We realize the pain that we that you're going through, or because we've been through it. It wasn't, it's not, we're not saying it's easy by no means. And I know it takes time, but you're worth it. If you're watching this, know that you're worth it. You're worth taking the investment of spending time with yourself, asking these questions. Why am I feeling? Be honest, brutally honest. No one else needs to look at your answers but you. And you put them
And
on
may,
that mirror or on that
uh-huh.
fridge and look at them until you're ready to one one atom at a time. It doesn't have to be the whole thing. Focus on one thing at a time.
Just do something different, something small. Get up on a different side of the bed, take a different path through the house, wash dishes backwards. Just start training your mind to pull in new experiences, right? Because we're rewriting things. And may I also offer the reason why it's important to work with someone who's been in the field,
Mhm.
and someone who can guide, like a life coach or someone of the sort, is because if you try to work through this with your codependent, trauma bonded best friend, and they haven't worked through this issue with themselves, they'll never see you. They'll just compare stories with you and tell you, you get over it. That toxic positivity kind of keeping you in that stuck trauma bond, because there's no healing taking place. So, in order for the healing to take place, there has to be a recognition that there's healing taking place. And if you share with someone who hasn't done the inner work, they're not going to recognize that you're trying to heal. They're going to think that, whatever they think. But if you bring it to someone who's done the inner work, the first thing you're going to get is a hand, like, here, let me hold your hand. Let me explain to you how you may be able to walk better through this, or let me offer you a tool, some tools, a plethora of tools, and you go through and see if something suits for you, right? Instead of just, you'll get over it, don't think about it, like, focus on your work. It's a huge difference, and it will make you feel worthy to heal if you have someone who can meet you at that level within themselves.
Well, you see it all the time in movies and in conversations, oh, going back to work is the best way I can cope. It's the best thing I could do for myself so I don't have to be with my thoughts.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Right? So we can have distractions. And then you're not healing. You're not taking the time to heal. The same reason they give women and men now time to be home after a baby's born, so that you can have this time to heal and bond, and all the emotions that comes with being a new parent is no different than what we're speaking about: integration, emotional integration. It's such a huge step in our growth and moving forward. And it's not just about making it a trend and going to every ayahuasca every year or going to the next spiritual retreat. It's not about affirmations every day. It's literally just a bumper sticker on a car. You can say namaste all day long and not be here.
Yep. If you're not being true to yourself,
Mhm.
then everything else is a lie off the top. If you're not telling the truth about how you feel, and if you're not accepting, these are my feelings, like, I don't have to understand why I really feel this way. This is my feeling. I see it, I accept it, and I'm going to move based on the knowing of what I feel, or I'm going to make a shift so that this feeling is something else. And I tell my clients, if you can see it, you can change it. And that goes for anything across the board, emotions, physical, mental, everything.
Right.
If
The
I can see
acknowledgement,
it, I can change
acknowledging.
it.
Yeah.
Where energy goes, where attention goes, energy flows. And
Mhm.
quantum physics and the observer theory, right? If you look at it, that's when it exists. All the other things don't exist until we actually see them, which is a theory in quantum physics. So if that's true, then the shadows that we hear in our mind don't really exist until we see them. And then we see them, we bring our attention to them, and we say, anger, is that you, anger? Come here. Come over here and sit down with me right here. Sit down. Sit in my lap. Let me get a good look at you. I want to see you. I want to understand what you are. I want to understand what you're bringing me, because our triggers, our emotions, that's where the gifts are.
Mhm.
If we work through those, if we stop when we feel some type of way and it zips up your spine, and you stop in that right then, stop and say, oh, what is this feeling? Say it out loud. You don't have to be with a coach. You can just say, Nicole, what was that? Return myself and see if it's still there. Oh yeah, it's still there. Okay, I feel that. Okay, well, what's going on? Did I see something? Did someone call? What triggered this in me? Now I recognize what's happening around me. I'm starting to bring more awareness. And then I say, is this familiar?
Mhm.
Do I know this place? Have I been here before? Yes, I feel this a lot actually. Okay. So I feel it when this person does this, and I feel it when I'm feeling like that, or while I'm at work, I feel it. I used to feel it when I was a little girl too, when my mom would say XYZ. Ah, you used to feel it when you were a little girl, which is where we're imprinted with our subconscious programming and the way that we express ourselves through the day, right? Because we're recording all day long. 95% of our lives are run on the subconscious mind. 95%. That means we're only 5% aware, which comes into play with the whole junk DNA thing, too, right? It's
Right.
not junk,
It's
it's
a
just
that's a
sleeping.
whole other show. Yeah. That
Right.
it's not junk.
So
We have
that's
9 minutes before the show is over. And I
okay.
really wanted to, if you had one key, maybe what's your top 5 things that you would tell someone who's trying to integrate their emotions? What are you telling yourself?
Number one, you you tell yourself the truth, because you're not going to move through anything if you're not being brutally honest. And if at the end of that truth you recognize that you're the one causing the drama, or you're the one that may be holding on to the pain
Mm.
and manifesting this in your life, which I was, if you're that person, just say, hey, baby, I'm proud of you, because whatever you were doing, you were surviving and you made it all the way here. But we don't need to survive anymore.
And number
Okay.
2,
Number two, use your breath, because that is your most powerful tool. It's literally your life. And what do I mean? I mean breathing patterns. 478 is a very great pattern interrupt. So when those looping starts coming in, take a deep breath in the count of 4, really big. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it for the count of 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale for the count of 8. Exhale for the count of 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And when you get to the bottom of that 8, if you still have room left in your tummy, blow it out. And then do that again. Okay. So now we're bringing in the breath.
okay.
Number 3, be honest and allow yourself to not be perfect. So give yourself some grace.
So we got truth, breath, and what was this third one? I'm writing them down.
Grace.
Grace. Give yourself grace. Okay.
And then bring in a little clarity
Clarity.
for moving forward. And then expansion.
Expansion. I love the breath work technique. I use it myself. Having ease and grace and having grace for self is huge. Being brutally honest with ourselves. And for me, is acceptance. Accepting that these things occurred to, right? This happened to me. Yes, I acknowledge that I am not taking away from anyone's experience or emotional pain or what traumas that you've been through.
Mm-hmm.
Every single person on this planet has went through something.
And nobody's is bigger or worse than the other, right?
Yes. And that's,
Everyone's trauma is trauma.
yes. And we're giving you coping skills that you can do by yourself at home without having to reach for the beer or the drugs or something other outside of you. Use something inside of you to bring calmness and peace and grace into your life. And how you do that is by listening to yourself. Take time to be still and honor your process, honor and forgive yourself for not taking the time yet. Forgive those around you. For when there's not judgment, there's love. And when you love yourself so wholly and completely, you will understand that that is your number one go to. Love you, and there is source is you.
And love is on the other side of everything but
Mm-hmm.
love, right? On the other side of fear, on the other side of guilt, on the other side of abandonment. It's love.
Nicole, where can people find you to get assistance with integration?
You can find me at the Lighthouse with Nicole. I have a Facebook profile, Nicole Menchaca. You can reach out to me via Messenger, my website, thelighthouseWithNicole.com. You can send me an email, thelighthouseWithNicole.
And you're also
um,
on YouTube.
I do have a YouTube. Yes, I don't have a lot of new things up. So I haven't really been, I've been in a pretty deep integration process myself, rewriting some old timelines and things like that. So I've not been doing a lot of recording. But yes, I have some meditations up on my YouTube. And I also offer personalized guided meditations to heal these abandonment wounds, So going through and redoing the whole thing, start from the beginning and rewrite it back into this timeline. What I find with working with a lot of people is that they're still living from a child's mentality. We haven't brought, we bring what we learned from childhood about ourselves, about the way we live, about our traditions, all the things. We just bring them with us. We don't really decide until we do. So
Well, I thank you so much for joining me for this hour. It went by so fast.
it did go by really fast.
Thank you, Nicole. It was so good to get on here and do this live with you. Yes, I love you so much. Sending so much love to everyone who's watching now and listening later. We love you. We thank you. Reach out. Visit my website at purposefullifecoach.com. I do mentorship and I also offer activations using light language and sacred geometry.
Oh, me too.
Yes, that's for another
Another
show,
show, right?
based on more
I love it.
integrated version of ourselves. Love you. We thank you. Thanks for watching.
Love you. Had fun.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Hugs, Nicole, for you and your family.
You too.